You're sitting in your car, engine off, parking lot half empty. You just left the mall with nothing. Not because you couldn't afford it. You could have bought the jacket. The shoes were on sale. You had the money, but you didn't. And now you're sitting here, feeling this weird mix of pride and loss. Like you won something, but also like you missed out. Your friend texted you a photo an hour later. Same store, same jacket. Finally treated myself. And you felt it. That quiet question you don't say out loud. Did I do the right thing? Because here's what nobody tells you about building wealth. It doesn't feel like winning at first. It feels like walking past things everyone else is picking up. It feels like saying no when your brain is screaming yes. It feels like being surrounded by people living now, while you're building for later. And the strangest part? The people who eventually build real wealth. They all made the same sacrifices early, not because they were smarter, not because they loved suffering, but because they understood something most people don't figure out until it's too late. I'm Mike, and today we need to talk about the sacrifices rich people make early and why most people, even good people, even smart people, won't make them. Let me be clear about something first. This isn't about judging you. You're not weak because you bought the jacket. You're not broken because you financed a car, went on a trip, upgraded your apartment when you got the raise. You made normal decisions. That's the point. Everyone around you is making the same choices. Your coworkers, your family, people you admire. So why would you think twice? But here's the thing most people discover too late. Normal is expensive. Normal is why someone making $45,000 feels broke, and why someone making $95,000 still feels stressed. Because the sacrifices that lead to wealth aren't normal. They're not what your friends are doing. They're not what gets celebrated on Instagram. They're not even what your parents told you to do. They're quiet. They're early. And most people don't make them. Not because they can't, but because they don't realize their choices at all. You think rich people got there by earning more. They got there by giving up things you're still holding on to. Let's start with the first sacrifice, and it's the hardest one. Rich people give up looking rich early. They drive the paid-off Camry while their co-workers finance the Audi. They live in the smaller house in the good school district while their neighbors renovate and post before and after photos. They wear the same jeans for 3 years while everyone else rotates new fits every season. And here's what nobody tells you about that choice. It doesn't just cost money to look successful. It costs you becoming successful. Because every month, people are choosing between two things. The $600 car payment that makes them feel like they made it, or the $600 investment that might actually get them there. The designer bag that signals status now, or the index fund that builds it quietly, slowly, invisibly. And I know what you're thinking. Mike, it's just one thing. It's just a car. I work hard. I deserve it. You do. But here's the truth rich people figure out early. Deserving something and affording it aren't the same thing. You could deserve a vacation, a new phone, a nicer place, and still not be able to afford the life those decisions create. Because it's never just the car. It's the insurance, the premium gas, the higher maintenance, the pressure to keep everything else around it matching that level. You didn't buy a car. You bought a lifestyle bracket, and now you're stuck in it. The second sacrifice is comfort. Not forever, just early. Rich people are willing to be uncomfortable now, so they don't have to be later. They keep the thermostat at 68 in the summer, while their neighbors crank it to 72. They pack lunch 4 days a week, while everyone else DoorDashes. They say no to brunch, to the concert, to the weekend trip. Not because they're miserable, but because they see something no one else sees yet. They see the trade. $15 here, $40 there, $200 this weekend. It doesn't feel like wealth when you're saving it. It feels like missing out. But here's the thing about comfort. It's expensive, and it's incremental. You don't notice it bankrupting you because it comes in small, justifiable doses. The extra $8 cold brew because you're tired. The $50 Uber because you didn't feel like dealing with parking. The $120 dinner because it's been a long week and you deserve something nice. Every single one of those decisions makes sense in the moment. But rich people early on make a different calculation. They ask, What does this cost me long term? Not in guilt, not in shame, just in awareness. Because $15 a day is $5,475 a year, and $5,475 a year invested is $120,000 in 20 years. You didn't spend $15. You spend your 40s. The third sacrifice might be the loneliest. Rich people give up other people's timelines. They stop trying to keep pace. They watch their friends buy houses, get married, have kids, take promotions, move to the suburbs, and they stay where they are, not because they're behind, but because they're building something that doesn't fit the script. And here's what makes this so hard. Everyone around you is moving forward on a schedule that feels universal. Get the degree, get the job, get the car, get the house, get the life. And if you're not checking those boxes on time, it feels like failure. But rich people figure out early that society's timeline is designed to keep you working, spending, and stressed for 40 years. It's not designed to make you wealthy. It's designed to make you normal. And normal people retire at 65 with $180,000 saved, a mortgage, and a part-time job at Lowe's because Social Security isn't enough. That's the finish line you're racing toward. Rich people opted out early. They said, I'm not doing this on your schedule. And yeah, that means people think you're weird for a while. You're 32 and still renting. You're 28 and driving a 2011 Honda. You're 35 and you didn't go to the wedding in Napa because flights were $600 and you're not spending that. You're the one people worry about. Until 10 years later, when you're not worried about anything, and they're still making the same monthly payments they were making a decade ago. Here's the fourth sacrifice, and it's quieter than the others. Rich people give up the need to be understood. They stop explaining themselves. They stop defending their choices. Because they realize early, most people won't get it until it's too late for them to do it themselves. Your family thinks you're being cheap. Your friends think you're no fun anymore. Your co-workers think you're scared of life. And here's the trap. You want them to understand. You want them to see that you're not depriving yourself. You're building something. You want them to respect the plan. But they won't. Not yet. Because they're still living in the system that punishes saving and rewards spending. They're still getting dopamine hits from new things and validation from keeping up. And you're over here trying to convince them that the best financial decision you made this year was not buying something. It doesn't make sense to them. And rich people stop trying to make it make sense. They stop posting about it. They stop defending the old car. They stop justifying why they're not coming to dinner. They just quietly keep going. Because they know the people who understand are the ones who already made the same choice. And the people who don't won't until their 60s when they finally realize they can't retire. And by then, you'll be 10 years into retirement. You won't need to explain it anymore. So here's the question I want you to sit with, not to stress you out, just to notice. What are you holding on to right now that's keeping you from building wealth? Not what you think you should give up. What are you actually actively choosing every week that's stopping you from becoming the person you say you want to be? Is it the $1,200 apartment that's really $300 more than you need to spend, but it has the granite countertops and the gym you never use? Is it the $70,000 car that made you feel successful when you signed, but now quietly drains you every single month? Is it the need to keep up with your friends, your siblings, your co-workers, even though you know deep down they're stressed too? Here's the uncomfortable truth rich people figured out early. You can't build wealth and maintain the lifestyle you currently have. Not yet. Not early. Something has to give. And the sacrifice isn't giving up happiness. It's giving up the appearance of having made it before you actually have. That's the trade. And most people won't make it. The fifth sacrifice is instant gratification. And I don't mean in the cliché self-help way. I mean rich people are willing to sit in the feeling of wanting something and not getting it. They want the new phone. They want the vacation. They want the nicer couch. But they've trained themselves to pause. Not forever. Just long enough to ask a different question. If I wait 6 months, will I still want this? And here's what they discovered. Most of the time, the answer is no, because desire fades. The urgency you feel in the store, on the website, in the moment, that's not real need. That's marketing. That's comparison. That's dopamine-seeking behavior wrapped in the language of self-care and adulthood. You don't need the $900 sectional from West Elm. You want the feeling you think it'll give you. But rich people learned early. That feeling lasts about 4 days. And then it's just a couch. An expensive couch you're still paying off while you're trying to save for something that actually matters. They learn to sit with the wanting, to feel it, acknowledge it, and let it pass. And weirdly, that became a superpower. Because once you stop buying everything you want the moment you want it, you stop being controlled by wanting. You start choosing. And that's when wealth starts building. Not because you're depriving yourself, but because you stop letting every passing desire dictate your financial decisions. The sixth sacrifice is one people don't talk about. Rich people give up the backup plan. They stop keeping one foot in the safe zone. And this doesn't mean they're reckless. It means they're committed. They don't save $50,000 for a house and also keep a $15,000 emergency fund for just in case I want to do something else. They don't invest $500 a month and also finance a new truck because I can always sell if I need to. They pick a path and they clear everything else out of the way. Because here's the truth about backup plans. They drain resources from the main plan. You think you're being smart, diversified, flexible. But what you're really doing is making sure you never fully commit to the thing that could actually change your life. You're keeping the $400 per month payment because what if I need a reliable car for work? You're keeping the expensive apartment because what if the cheaper one doesn't work out? You're keeping the lifestyle because what if being frugal makes me miserable? And I get it. Backup plans feel responsible, but they're also the reason you're still in the same place 5 years later. Because rich people figured out early, you can't build wealth while you're protecting yourself from the discomfort of building wealth. At some point, you have to go all in. Not blindly, but decisively. And yeah, that's scary. But staying broke forever is scarier. The seventh sacrifice is the hardest one to see. Rich people give up the belief that wealth is luck. They stop telling themselves a story that successful people just got lucky, had help, knew someone, got an inheritance. Not because those things don't happen. They do. But because believing wealth is luck gives you permission to stay where you are. If it's luck, you can't control it. If it's luck, you're off the hook. If it's luck, you don't have to make the hard choices, the uncomfortable sacrifices, the quiet trade-offs nobody else sees. You can just keep living like everyone else and hope something changes. But here's what rich people realized early. Wealth isn't luck. It's a series of small, boring, unsexy decisions made consistently over time. It's saying no when everyone says yes. It's living below your means when you could have lived at your means. It's investing $500 a month for 15 years instead of buying things that made you feel successful for 15 minutes. And the reason most people won't do it isn't because they can't. It's because it's invisible. Nobody's celebrating you for driving the same car for 7 years. Nobody's throwing you a party for not going into debt. Nobody's impressed that you stayed in a small apartment while your income doubled. But that's the work. That's what builds wealth. And the moment you stop calling it luck, the moment you stop waiting for a windfall, a promotion, a break, that's the moment you take your power back. Because it was never luck. It was a choice. And you can make it too. So here's where we are. You don't have to become a minimalist. You don't have to sell everything and live in a van. You don't have to hate your life in your 20s so you can enjoy your 60s. But you do have to ask yourself, what am I not willing to give up? Because that thing, whatever it is, might be the thing keeping you stuck. Maybe it's the car. Maybe it's the apartment. Maybe it's the need to keep up. Maybe it's the belief that you'll start saving after this next thing. After the wedding. After the promotion. After the kids are older. But here's the truth. There's no after. There's only now. And now. You're either making the sacrifices that lead to wealth, or you're making the choices that lead to stress. You can't do both. So what's it going to be? Not forever. Just early. Just long enough for the decisions to compound. Just long enough for the sacrifices to turn into freedom. You're going to walk past a lot of things other people pick up. You're going to say no when it feels easier to say yes. You're going to feel weird, cheap, out of step, and some days you're going to wonder if it's worth it, if anyone even notices, if you're doing this right. But here's what I want you to remember. Wealth is built in private. It's built in the decisions nobody sees. The $12 lunch you didn't buy. The $40,000 car you didn't finance. The $200 night out you skipped. None of those moments feel like wealth. But 20 years later, when your friends are still making payments and you're not, when they're stressed about layoffs and you're not, when they're wondering how they're going to retire and you already did, you'll understand. The sacrifices weren't losses. They were investments in a life where you're not controlled by money anymore. And that's the whole point. I'm Mike, and I'll see you in the next one.